India's share is still 2% of the world's production. We ran very hard for 63 years to remain where we were. But meanwhile, we did not remain stagnant. We actually came down. In 1991, our share was only 1% of the global output. Then we changed course. Mercifully, at least we came back to our position of 1950. But India could easily emerge as the world's second largest economy in the next 29 years if we do things right. Many respectable think tanks, based on evidence, they say, if India does a few things right, India could recapture her lost glory. India could be the world's second largest economy, next only to China, in gross terms. America is still much richer, the per capita income here will be much greater still, but India could well emerge as the second largest economy in the world. By current indications, it appears that China is more or less unstoppable, unless something very dramatic happens there. But India deserves to be up there. But if you don't do things right now, India will also run. A country with immense potential, but a country that never really fulfilled her potential. The choice is ours today. Greatness is possible, but greatness is not our right. A miracle can happen, but that miracle must be made to happen. People talk about corruption in India, people talk about 100 other things. Of course, there are many things wrong with India. That's why we all have to work so hard. But none of these things is unique. None of these things is very original to India. Many other countries had similar problems. This country had plenty of problems. You just go back and ask Rajiv or somebody about the town hall politics in New York City. Or in Chicago City, the current Mayor Daley's father during his time, how the machine politics worked there. Or how in cities like Philadelphia things were messy in the 1920s, and the women's suffragette movement succeeded in getting the vote at last in 1920, and yet they found that nothing much was happening. Things were pretty dim. And then came the Women Voters League of America in Philadelphia, and they, in many ways, have helped transform much of American political scene over the next 30, 40, 50 years. Even the American presidential debates were actually the gift of Women Voters League of the United States. They were the ones who conceived, who fought for that, who finally got that in 1988. They actually ran those debates. Only in 88 they were transferred to the Commission for Presidential Debates. You go back to Britain, the country in many ways we have imitated. In 1860s, a member of parliament in Britain wrote a letter to his constituents. I'm paraphrasing the letter goes something like this. It says, you know and I know that I bought your constituency for £5,000 sterling in a public auction. A member of parliament was elected by a public auction. Money was shared by the few voters, only the property people and educated people, they had the right to vote at that time. Therefore they all shared that money. He then went on to say, but you do not know that I know that I'm not going to be an next MP because you already sold your constituency for £8,000 sterling. But what you should know is that I've already bought another constituency for £3,000 sterling. In the process, both of us are gained because you have now got £3,000 more for that MP's office, and I have spent £2,000 less to gain that office in another constituency. It's a real letter. It's still preserved in the British archives. Then the leadership in that country understood the malaise of the country, political system, and they set things right. And thus, the foundations of modern Britain were laid. So do not, for a moment, think that these countries are what they are today, even 100 years ago. They were different, but they built institutions. They understood the problems. They set things right. Even lately, we all heard of the case of Lord Bagojevich. When he wanted to sell Barack Obama's Senate seat, occasion when he became the president, for I think $100,000 or $150,000.
Not convicted yet.
Pardon?
It's not convicted yet.
Not convicted yet, but $150,000, right? So what surprises me is not that he tried to sell that office. When you have political power, when you have unchecked power, there's always a risk of corruption. In any society, in any age, that's inevitable. What surprised me is that he settled for so little. For the high office of the United States Senate, from one of the major states of this country, that he bargained for only $150,000 or so, is actually amazing to me. Because no self-respecting MLA or MP in India would think of $150,000. Think of $100,000 or $150,000 as big money. One of the NRIs the other day, I met him in Potomac, Maryland, over dinner. So he apparently was a contestant for the assembly in Andhra Pradesh state in 2009 election on behalf of one of the traditional parties. He told me that he spent 25 crore rupees in that election for the state legislative office, which he lost. He said, sir, పొద్దున్న లేస్తే ₹1 ఖర్చు సార్ ఆ రోజు. Those are the words he used. But then, yeah, we're trying to build India. And India is bilingual. There are many people who do not follow Telugu, so I understand your concern, but please bear with me. So 25 crores. What insanity possesses us? For a state legislative office, take the total economy of Andhra Pradesh. Today it's about $100 billion US dollars in dollar terms of the current purchasing power, not purchasing power, current exchange value of rupee, $100 billion US dollars. And that is 1/40th of the American economy. The economy of Texas, from where I came this morning, is larger than Andhra Pradesh economy. It's probably larger than Indian economy.
Yes.
The economy of Texas, right?
Yes.
It must be 1.4, 1.5 trillion US dollars. In the Texas state, if somebody is a state legislator, the neighbor would not know. And I understand that the legislature in Texas meets only once in 2 years. Nobody cares. Think of an MLA in Andhra Pradesh, or Tamil Nadu, spend 25 crores, and that is 250 million rupees, and be seen as a very, very important person. God knows doing what? What kind of madness has gripped us as a country? This is not natural at all. It's utterly insane. We are not fighting natural laws. What is happening in India is totally artificial, totally immoral, totally unacceptable. If you see the crisis that's now engulfing much of the Mexican Gulf because of that terrible oil spill, it's a technological problem right now. Because mankind may have gone to moon, but we still don't know how to go 1 mile deep in the sea, in the ocean, and do something about it. But eventually, I'm sure they will figure out a solution, not only to this particular problem, but also to the long-term problem of that. But at this point in time, there's no solution. But the problems of India are not technological. The problems of India are not because of natural laws. These are very simple, elementary problems. They require common sense and a bit of will and wisdom. And an understanding that we have to set things right in order to improve things. As long as we are victims of this caste winning or that caste winning, I don't understand this logic at all. When you say, vote for the sensible candidates or a sensible platform in the elections, people say, no, my caste fellowship, then what all that means. And the vote is never for the best candidate at the best party. It's always for the second worst party. Because in our minds, we have decided that somebody is the worst. And we're terrified that if we vote sensibly and wisely, that worst fellow might win. And therefore, we want to let the second worst fellow win instead. Next time around, the current second worst fellow will be the worst fellow. Because he's been in power now. And the current worst fellow is the second worst fellow. Then again, we'll say, but I must get the second worst fellow in order to get the worst fellow out. When are we going to do that? Is the election for those blokes or for us? It's simple common sense. It doesn't require genius to understand this. And yet, we time and again keep doing that.